Well. This is one of those days where it's a little sneaky, I feel like. We are getting the bounce, but it isn't a huge bounce back. And so a little part of me feels that, this is looking a little bit strong here towards the close. Not the worst outlook. The Fed is quiet. We are getting a bounce, but is it strong enough to make me think that we're really going back? Are we going to come back to 390? Or is this just a little bounce, a little kind of momentary pause in the downside pressure, and it could continue tomorrow? Let's talk about it with Joel Elconin. It seems like today's a little bit of a mix. I'm seeing Apple still down, Microsoft up, Tesla. Now that one's to talk about. Let's get into it at the close.
All right, it is time for pre-market prep at the close.
3 consecutive highs, opened, matched yesterday's low, and then once it took out there, that's all the breakout momentum traders needed.
All right, let me bring in my guy, Joel. What's going on in the market? Talk to me.
This could be one of those days where you might have the right strategy, but you might not make any money. You might have been bullish. You might have trying to buy the dips, and it's a choppy session. We're in the green. Let's just give the bottom line. The bottom line is this 4-day losing streak may be coming to an end. We're up 11 handles at 56 and a quarter. Never got near that pre-market low, folks, of 0350. I'm still scratching my head over this whole Japan situation. But what I try and do when I get the outside numbers like that, I just go to my daily levels. 27 and a quarter has been the low of the top, the decline. We got through that by 5 points, but once we got back above it, it was okay to dip your toe in the water. But let's get a positive close for today. Let's follow through. Maybe, got to make everyone feel good on Friday, right? The day before Christmas Eve day. So that's what I'm looking at. Whatever they did in Japan is not good for the dollar. Down 68 cents at 103.66. Dollars down, bonds are down. That had a crazy rally. The 30-year T-bill, that's down 1 and 23/30. Who talks 30 seconds but us? At 1:28 and 2/30. Crude, eerily quiet here. A trip tried to break out of the double top area, couldn't. Ooh, it's stacking up here. I feel crude's getting ready for a move. We'll see if it can bust above in 77 or break down below 74. Gold is where your money should be, up 30 bucks, 1827.70, posting a new closing high for the rebound. Hi ho silver up $1.20. That's 5% at 24.41. And Bitcoin doesn't want to be left out of this rally. That's up $375 at 16,870. Mitch, take it away.
All right. It's definitely one of those days where, of course, in the morning we were looking at what the Bank of Japan did, and it was looking positive in the pre-market. But really, I mean, we didn't really get led anywhere, I feel like, today. And that's why I feel like Joel is saying that maybe even if you leaned into the right direction today, you could have got stopped out a lot. And I feel like that's exactly what it was. It's a mixed bag today. Let's start off with some of the leadership. I talked about how Apple really wasn't, like kind of rip and rallying back, right? I mean, it is taking a momentary pause, and maybe we flip into the green. That doesn't look too bad to end the day green. But is this just a pause in the downtrend in Apple? Because we're coming really fast to those lows near the 129.04.
Yeah, now see, you're holding out for 129.04 and you got stuffed, right? And the only thing you could say, I mean, I didn't have a level there, was, well, 130. That's a psychological level. Not everyone is like pennies, like 04, 06, 09, 08. If you're an institution, let's say you want to bring in 150,200 shares, either to start along or nibble on a short. I mean, you put a bid out there, 129.04 for a couple 100,000. They're gonna trade in front of you. So The 130 buyers, they were there. They let it get a little bit under there. Now it's a 2-star. Now you're $3 above it. High 133 and a quarter. For me, former support is now resistance. If you want to wait this out, if Apple could get back above that quad bottom at 134.50, then I think you got a chance at a rally. I still would like to see another low in this area. Maybe we come down tomorrow, we get a down open and maybe get down to 130 and a quarter, get a little double bottom in there, get something to lead on. But right now, down 14 cents and not a bad day. It's quite a bit. It's well over about 230, 240 off the low. So Apple not being the drag on the index it was yesterday.
Microsoft doesn't look the best overall in the daily, but at least a little bounce back today. Just not going anywhere. And in my eyes, that rejection of 260 was very important. Could not get back into the long-term trend. I've been waiting to see if we were going to attack that 260. I could show you that on kind of my charts.
Yeah, on the daily.
Term 10, yeah. But we rejected that strongly. And from that, I think, look out. I see 220s, 218s on the charts. I see us back there for Microsoft. But for right now, we'll see if we can get back there. Today, bouncing back today. A high of 240, 287.
Yeah, I'm looking at the lows here, and there's this big old gap in this thing. I don't know what that was. That must have been a day. Oh, was that? What happened on this day, Mitch? If you could
I'll
look
find
and
out.
throw.
Yeah, I'll look it up
Was
right now.
it a big up day in the market? It was. It must have been a big up day in the market. It was November 10th, I believe. You had a gap up. You got a $6.5 gap in here on that day. So I got to kind of get that out of my mind and look. You did have lows in the same area back in late November and early December. Now this one, just like the S&P, it gave you a look at yesterday's low at 38.71. Yesterday's low 38.42. Nice rebound here. That looking better at this one. If I had to pick one or the other, I'd say Microsoft over Apple. Looking a little bit stronger today. Do you have the information from that November? I can't believe I can't remember that.
I'm looking
Was that
at it
a
right
big
now.
up day in the market?
I have
Yeah,
to
it was
look
a big
on
up
the
day in the
market.
market.
That's it. Might have been a
What
CPI
happened
day.
on
Was it a CPI that got released on that? It sounds like CPI day, at least from my understanding.
Okay. Yeah,
November.
okay.
When was the CPI in November? It was. Looks like that was November 7th. So it wasn't that one. It's 2 days after that. So that's interesting.
Yeah,
There's one thing
I
to
should
keep
know
in
that.
mind. That gap. I'll take a look into it after the show and we'll talk about
Doesn't
it.
look like it wants to go there. It looks like it found
Mhm.
some good support, but so Apple kind of mixed. Microsoft, not a bad day, but what is going on in Tesla?
Yeah, Tesla is just a disaster stock of the day. If on a day like today where the market didn't really go nowhere and Tesla just wants to leak. And it seems like nonstop there on the hourly. The hourly tells you the story. Look at that bottom left chart, just red daggers. And look at the right chart on the bottom right. Even worse, that monthly chart showing you that, nothing that we want to get in front of right now, at least. But we are getting to really oversold. But the question is, where does it bounce?
I think this is finally people just saying, would you stop messing around with Twitter? I mean, it's too late. He overpaid for Twitter. He put his stock in the hands of Wall Street, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley.
He also sold his stock too, right?
I know.
Like there's like 4 negatives there, Joe. Just not what you should have been getting into, man. Should have been focusing on SpaceX. We should have been doing Tesla.
Starlink.
We should be talking about the semi right now. If anything, he should have been, I don't know, doing like some off-roading with the Cybertruck or something. I don't know, but this doesn't seem to make sense here for Tesla investors at all. And I think that this is just something that will give us an opportunity, though. I've been trying to invest in Tesla. I'm not going to lie. I want to invest in Tesla. But the big thing about it is, will the growth drivers actually drive the company back up, right? Semi and Cybertruck, I think, are definitely the growth drivers of Tesla in the long run. Of course, one thing that I'd keep in mind is that Tesla does build, those gigafactories here. So in the long run, that does give them an advantage. I think we need to just keep watch. Tesla is going to get to a level that it seems to make sense. Where that level is, I've had 135 on my charts for a while, just because it's a daily support around that area. Maybe you're looking at 132s, but is that the next stop you see?
I mean, I'm Martin Contreras. Good afternoon. I just would say I would have, if you're stepping out here, the next low is your November 2020 low of 130.77. So if you want to risk $9, I mean, I think you got to give it down to that level, unless it gives you something else to lean on, right? Unless it gives you a double bottom or some kind of pattern. There's a lot of things working against Tesla here. One is potential recession, right? I mean, are people going to be buying expensive trucks, or are they going to be hanging on to their, their current vehicle? Number two, the Twitter thing is just, that's like the most dominant thing. But the other thing is that it is going to be competition. The competition is coming in. Their market share is going to come down. I haven't seen with GM or Ford. I know they're coming for them, but they have mass scales of production, right? So competition's coming for them, and for the longest amount of time, it wasn't treated like the growth stock, like every other growth stock was treated. I bet it's still trading at a high valuation. So, with all those things being said here, Martin, I mean, I think you're just trying to catch a falling knife today. And this Twitter, he should just get off Twitter, man. Forget the blue check marks. Just be quiet for a couple. If he doesn't tweet for a couple days, this thing goes back up. And
But one thing to keep in mind, Joel, right? He did say that they're looking for a CEO for Twitter, right? If that gets announced for some reason, the overnight hours, where will Tesla trade the day after that? That's one thing that I want to keep in mind. I know that sounds like I'm a little bit on that hopium there, but for the Tesla investors, I think that's what they'll be looking for. Is if he does announce that he's done dealing with the Twitter situation, that he's letting another CEO take the run at it, and he's going back to focus on Tesla, will that be the next run up? Doesn't mean that it might be a bottom on Tesla, but I could see that being kind of overnight, kind of
I have an idea. Someone said Joel for CEO of Twitter. I'll tell you.
Let's do it.
I know. If Elon wants to tweet at me and send me I don't even know if I follow him. I have an idea, because Twitter is a good source of information. It's also a good source of bad information, right? It's also like you can be the bully in the schoolyard, but no one has to know your name. But I do see a path to monetization of Twitter if he does one thing. And I don't think there's one simple thing that's just sticking out to me about Twitter. And I've talked to some buddies, and I'm like, hey, should I do maybe a Twitter special? What should Twitter do? And I haven't got the most overwhelming response from it. So, you know what? I have not run it by Triple D yet, but I'll run it by Triple D. But I think there is one thing that he could do that I think that could make that company profitable. But anyways, he built Tesla, he built Starlink, he put people on the moon. I'm just a co-host of PreMarket Prep, so what do I know? There's things that can be done. It is a good flow of information. It's just, I don't know. It's really weighing on the stock. It's dropping as we speak. It's down 7.3%. 10.99, down almost $11 on the session. If I had to hold out for a level, Martin, I'd hold out for that that next monthly low, and I believe that came in. I've been saying this. It's so funny. Like the whole year, I'm saying, well, that monthly low. Yeah, I'm like, well, I don't think it will get there. And you know what? These stocks
Yeah.
get there. They
Yeah, that's
gravitate
why I
to these
love the
levels.
monthly chart. I think that's one thing I definitely would have to give you, Joel. I've learned a lot on those monthly charts, and a lot of that was because you've always kept them on the bottom right. So many traders never refer to the monthlies that I would have to tell you right now. There's definitely something there, team. Just got to
It can
look
keep you
into
out of
it for
trouble.
yourself. Yes, definitely. It's a great just if you think something looks good on the daily, just take a peek on the monthly. Take a peek.
Yep.
It might just show you something. You never know. All right, let's keep going. We'll take a look at some different stocks. One that also got killed, General Mills, but trading pretty much sideways
We
from
did
the
good on
open.
this one.
Yeah, just
We
getting
did good
pulled
on
back
this one.
here. It doesn't look like, it's got completely destroyed, but quick pullback on these. And I think one thing to keep in mind is this one has been in a monthly channel, so could be coming right back into that channel. Looks like it's just trading in that channel. So a little pullback to those levels. I would say it even looks like an 80 is in reach for me. But General Mills beat, raised guidance, and actually came down on that. There's something to notice there.
Street leading the wrong way into the report, while the S&P has been down 4 days in a row. This has been high, or 5 in the last 6 days. The one outlier being a 2-cent loss a couple days ago. Now, how do I know all that information? I wrote it up as the pre-market prep stock of the day. We are going to test the chat here, because sometimes I get some levels right, sometimes I get some levels wrong. Like I know I gave Bill Big D a potential support in Lululemon last week, and I sure hope he didn't follow that one. But Mitch, I'm going to go with you. I mentioned this on the show a couple times. I did it when we were covering it on the show. It was trading at 84 and a half. What did I say the next logical stopping point for General Mills was?
Next daily low,
Where more
82.44.
More exactly. But there's not one low
Oh,
there. There's two lows there. There's not two
multiple.
lows there. There's three lows there,
That's
right?
a 3 or 4 star level right there.
That was a 5-star this morning. I should have given it a
Ooh.
5-star. And I looked at I wanted to see, because like when I write my articles, I like to see what it did. It opened at 80. This is the first minute. It opened at 83, went to 84, came down to 82.50, and then came back all the way and made a new high at 84.55. So folks, I know there's a lot of risk out there on in the opens, right? Because the
Mhm.
market makers, they're just trying to get the orders done. The ARBs, or the HFTs, they're like, oh, hey, I'm gonna wait here. But if you can find something, you could have got. I said 82.50. I mean, if you would have had the gumption, just sticking the order out there, and then boom, you get filled, and then blink, and it was up. So, but I tell you right
Yeah.
now, next time this thing goes down to 82.50 and it turns, it'll be like trip nines at 82.50. You know what trip nines are, Mitch? I
What are
haven't
trip
mentioned that.
nines? What are trip nines?
Trip nines are back in the good old days, okay? When, we used to trade in eights and we used to trade in teenies. And when you saw something go trip nines, that mean they had over 100,000 to sell. You didn't know if it was 100,000. You didn't know if it was 200,000. You didn't know it was a 500,000. You didn't know what it was, but especially in the thinner stocks, like, Bank of America used to be trip nines the whole way. But I can remember back in the day, I probably haven't told the story in a while. One time I got short Goldman Sachs, and they went trip nines on the offer. That thing would, traded 1 million shares a day. And you just throw your bids out lower, man, because they're looking for stock. But you don't see trip nines there very often. But I don't even know if you see them now. I don't even know if you see a 5,000 share bid in this market. But folks,
Yeah.
if you're long General Mills, this is not investment advice, but keep an eye on 82.50. Support is support until it's broken. That's the level that the stars are moving up again tomorrow. And then on the upside, I don't know, man. That's a big gap. Maybe they'll shake off the beat and raise guidance. Just a crowded trade, even more crowded the last few days. I don't know what you're doing buying this stock up. Do you know that this stock is outperforming the S&P by 50% this year? The S&P is down as of yesterday's close 21%, and this stock is up 29%. You talk about a canary in a coal mine. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
This stock has just had one heck of a run, making a new all-time high. That was the most time anybody will spend on General Mills ever.
All right, we're gonna roll through some of these now in the chat. If you guys had a mover today and you guys want to talk about it, go ahead and throw it up, and we'll definitely go ahead and touch it. Seems like it was a day where it was a little bit of a mixed bag around. We can take a look at what was moving on the day. I always like to just take a look. You can see energy led us on the day, healthcare behind that. Then you got basic materials. Of course, this is from the open, where I like to pay attention to, because you sometimes can get tricked really easily with that overall change. Now, in energy, of course, stocks like ExxonMobil bouncing back a little bit, starting to come back into that fighting zone. Seems like we've been on a sideways trend there in ExxonMobil and some of these oil names. So I think that in this case is just showing me that it's not falling off the wagon, even though you are seeing, oil prices at 70. So with that being said, and it being still the low PE and expecting to have some good earnings, I still like these stocks. I think it's going to be one of these things where you have to let them kind of play out right now, consolidate, and then look for that nice break. Of course, we talked about how that 109, 110 area, when that broke, we're going to look to see if we come back towards that. We've come back to it once, close to it, 108.54. What do you think of some levels down below there around the 109.70 area?
Oh boy, you read in my mind here, because I just looked at the all-time high. That was about 114.64, right? Boom, you go down to 102.37, right? So that's a 12-point move. You add 6 to the low of the move. That takes you to 109.70, 110. That would be, if you're looking for a swing trade on this one, that would be a nice target. Ahead of that, you have a pair of highs at the 108.40 level that you got to cut through. But the thing that, if I hadn't looked at this thing over the last couple of days, and I wish someone would have pointed it out this morning, the S&Ps have been down 4 days in a row. This was it an update? It was down on Friday, and it was up yesterday in a red tape. So it showed some relative strength, while the S&Ps made a substantial new low from that CPI Tuesday. This held strong, so I'd be looking for a 50% retracement here, and ExxonMobil, that would take it back right to that 109, 110 area. You can see what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tuplet of highs at the 112 area. That's your super extra major resistance. It's going to take a couple updates to get there. Let's take a look at its sister Chevron here. Chevron getting a little bounce here, similar pattern. Looks like you got room up to 175 here in Chevron. Tesla, holy mackerel, they might hit 130 by the end of the show. We're down 11.50 at 138. We're at 138.35. Wow, low of 138.11. There's no other news out here, Mitch.
Well, this is what happens when you get capitulation. This is what I'm talking about, capitulation. This will break some bulls for sure. I'm looking around. It looks like Tesla's market share. We're getting something here. Let me look into this.
Twinkle Toes said that Elon.
Gordon. This is just Gordon Johnson out there.
It's Gordon. Gordon, he is like, he's got this big. He went and got his barbecue fork out.
He got that. He started pitching it. He said, "Is there still juice in this bad boy? There's still some juice. I see that juice leaking." And boy, is Tesla on the leak. I'm telling you, Joel, the only thing I think saves it is that news that Twitter has a new CEO and Elon's heading out the door and letting someone else take control. Because I think this is the news that we could be having. Looks like what we got there. Ross
Bill
Gerber.
says, yeah, Ross Gerber and Alon having a Twitter fight. I'm not on it, so I'm not looking. I'm
Ross
catering
likes
to
to
you
pick some
guys.
fights, so I could see Ross jumping in there. I've talked to Ross before. He's a feisty one, that's for sure. He ain't
Yep.
hiding back from Elon.
Kevin Costello is saying he said
Elon
it. I
still
didn't want to
selling?
say this. I didn't want to say this on the show, but I was thinking it, and I don't like to. Yeah, I'm like, little pop yesterday. I wonder if Elon sold into it. You know, what
We'll
is
find
that?
out.
Yeah,
We'll find
chat. You
out.
guys find out where that margin call is coming in, and you know, boom, boom, boom. If he sold stock over the last couple days, then there are gonna be some really unhappy shareholders here. S&Ps. I mean, once again, if you were long. You're saying there's nothing at 66.50. Why do we stop at 38.66.50? I don't have any numbers there. And now we're leaking again. That we still have 5 minutes to go. That 4-day losing streak is still possibly going to be a 5-day losing streak here. You know, the way the spoons can move and nothing. I don't know. Maybe you got some selling balances in there. But let's get up. Our chat is hilarious here. Let's get a few more stonks in before we end up this Tuesday. Come on, guys, get some bids out there. We can't be down 5 days in a row. We've fallen under 38.50. We're at 38.50 now. The battle continues.
This is not good.
Not good, man. Come on now. Come on, buyers. Where are you?
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're anywhere to be found, and that's why I was talking about how we didn't get just a huge bounce today. If we would have bounced to like 385, I'd be feeling a lot more confident about this kind of uplift move. Seems like it was a very short-lived move. Take a look at ARC. We were looking at that to see if some growth was going to get started today. There was some growth that got moving, and I'll show you that on ARC. So like we could take a look at what was moving there. And it was a lot of the biotechs like Beam, Veru, PAC, a lot of these diagnostic healthcare sector area that I feel saves there a lot of the times. Square got a little bit of a bounce back. Shop was looking good here. And you can see here how the Shop got a nice move, but it was very short-lived. And this is what I mean, that you get these pops. Yeah, pop. But then right after like 1040, from then, you've been just kind of slowly leaking it right back. And that's what I'm noticing is that this doesn't feel to me like 2 or 3 day type of moves, just kind of a pause in the downside action, a little bit of a pop back. And now we're seeing that slow decline towards the close.
All right, let me take a look at Shop, and then we got some interesting things from the chat. Undercut and rally, undercut the previous day's low, so you can lead on that for a swing trade. That's the only thing I can tell you. Spotify. You got any news on Spotify? Someone's been very persistent asking about Spotify. Up 326. 3 out of 4 lows in the same area above that $70 low. I mean, the chart doesn't look great. I would, for right now, when I see this, what is this high? Your high from last week, 78.27. Let's call $79. And the reason I'm gonna call it $79 is because you had to close. You had to close at 78.32. You opened lower the next day at 78.27. So there's your two targets: 78.27. That's your 4-day high. Your 5-day your 5-day high comes in, or your 5-day close at 79.32. So not seeing anything really jumping out of me. I do like the trio lows in the same area. Captain Kirk from Star Trek is asking about palladium. If someone asks about palladium, you got to talk about it. They're futures. They're thin. They move around. Not move as much as silver today. But what the bulls need to do overnight here is get it through this 10-24-20. You didn't quite get there today. That's your 3-day high. After that, I'm looking at another leg higher. If you're just trying to protect profits in this thing after a nice run, you do have 2 lows in the same area, but I wouldn't see a big decrease in price. It's a little ways down at 970.70. The spoos did make it. We did make it a positive session with that 4 o'clock close, but just by the hair of our chinny chin chin. Mitch, just want to alert everybody that Raggy Horner's coming on tomorrow. So we're gonna Raggy. Let's do one more for Alvin Smith, because one of my code names is Alvin, and boom, 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 Boeing right back up to the high of the move. Strong day. I don't know if there was any news on it, but Alvin 191.11 is the high of the move. But you posted a new closing high today, even though you didn't make a new high of the move. 188.29. That's your closing. That's your closing high for the rebound. Keep an eye on that tomorrow. So maybe we'll get some good news tomorrow. Mitch, great to have you back, and
It's
we'll
good to be back in the hot seat. Yeah,
We'll
like
be back
always.
for Hump Day. Santa Claus is still trying to decide if he's coming to town.
I hear
Have
the
a good
jingles
one.
now. I hear the jingles. Who knows? Maybe he's still in town. We'll have to find out. See you guys tomorrow on Pre-Market Prep. Don't miss this, team. Of course, up next, you guys got Cannabis Insider. Find out what's going on in the cannabis industry. You guys know Benzinga is always on top of everything that goes on in the cannabis industry. And even myself, I'm looking at some investments for the long term, especially going into 2023 and 24. Will we finally get deschedulized cannabis? Could be an opportunity. Find out from the Cannabis Insider team up next.